Sports Festa Rick Horrow inside the $1.3 trillion business of sports. It is a big week and a big month. Obviously, you could see a national championship game in Miami, but then to the golf show, and it is a major economic impact boom for the state of Florida and the golf industry. So important, we need to reprise one of our first interviews of the year with a tremendous partner and friend, Gary Player. 167 professional golf tournaments won worldwide, 9 majors on the PGA Tour, 9 on the Senior Tour, only player in history to complete the Grand Slam in both tours. And at the end of the day, way beyond just his wins, 400 golf courses worldwide. He's won peace prizes, he's spoken out on a number of issues. And by the way, I know for a fact that when he says he's spoken and met with kings and emperors, he has. But as important, a clarion of physical fitness. He says he shot his age well over 1,000 times. I think it's more like 2,000 or 3,000. Sharp as a tack, has an opportunity to continue to revolutionize the golf business. And as we enter into the beginning of the PGA Tour this year, maybe a live final time alone pre-merger, we're hoping. The whole TGL and women's deal as well. The majors coming up. Let's just hope that the golf season is as exciting this year as it was last. And hopefully we'll be listening very carefully to what Gary Player has to say. When did you have an inkling of greatness or an inkling that there was something special that was going to go on in your life?
That's always very difficult to go back and come to a conclusion. But having had a very, very tough life as a young man, my mother died when I was 9. My father worked in a gold mine, 8,000 feet down for 30 years. My brother went to war at 18, just before he turned 18, to fight with the Americans in the last World War and its allies. And my sister was at boarding school. But Rick, you know, South Africa has the best schools in the world. You go to school with a tie on and a jacket. You stand up when the teacher comes in the classroom. And now I'm at the school and I'm having to get up every morning at 5:30 and travel an hour and a half to school in a tram, then walk across town. You wouldn't do that today at the age of 9, and then get on a bus and come home and there's a dark house, nobody there. You have to cook your own food and make your own bed, which of course is good. And I lay in bed every night crying, wishing I was dead. And that was the greatest gift bestowed upon me in my entire life. And at that stage, I can vividly remember saying, when I become a champion, I didn't know at what, I'm going to help people who are struggling because I have a taste of what it's like and I don't want them to have that. And so I suppose it was something that was ingrained in me. I felt determined to do something. And certain people are born with certain gifts, irrespective of what it might be in the art, might be sports. It might be a great husband or a great wife, whatever it may be. And so I started to play golf. My father, if you worked on the gold mine, you could play on a golf course, and he asked me to come and play golf. And I said, not for me. It's a sissy's game. I was playing rugby and cricket and track and swimming at that time. And I reluctantly went along, and I loved it so much. And thank God, Rick. I mean, golf is the most unbelievable sport. Well, what sport do all sportsmen go to when they finish their particular sport? They all go to golf. And it's a game you can play forever. Every other sport is play and away. If you play the NFL for 4 years, you've done well. But how do you walk away with all these operations and concussions and things like that? Boxing, all other sports. Golf, here I'm nearly 90, beating my age, beating par. Of course, there's a reason for that because I kept in shape, worked out hard, watched what I eat, laugh a lot. I think it's essential, Rick, to laugh a lot because the difference between laughing and being miserable is enormous. And laughing is a youthful cell, I think. And I think there are a lot of different things that I do. I work at it for longevity because longevity, living a long time is not luck. Luck is the residue of design. And this is something that the conclusion I come to, that I realized that you had to work for something. You weren't going to be given things for nothing. You had to work. And as I started to work, I could feel a determination in my body that I was telling myself I'm going to be a world champion. Now, whether I was kidding or not, but you've got to actually believe in yourself to do something. Lots of young boys come and ask me how they can become a champion. I don't have the answer, but I do know one thing: you've got to believe in yourself. And it's what made America the greatest country on the planet ever, was hard work. Hard work. This is why you become so great. So, there's a lot of, to answer a question like that directly is not easy. I was around Nelson Mandela for 3 years, and he went to jail for 20 years for doing the right thing, and he came out, he had no bitterness, he was full of love, and you could see he oozed with love.
What special trait does it take to be a world-class philanthropic fundraiser? And the second part, which is related, what's your perception of athletes as role models generally?
Well, first of all, I think the essential ingredient in life is to have love in your heart. Love is a stronger weapon. It's God's weapon. It beats an atomic bomb. It beats everything. And if it really cures everything. I was around Nelson Mandela for 3 years, and he went to jail for 20 years for doing the right thing, and he came out, he had no bitterness, he was full of love, and you could see he oozed with love. And all the great people I met in my life are people that had love in their hearts and feeling for other people. I think that's so essential. And as far as other athletes are concerned, I think athletes have done a marvelous job. Obviously, they're good and bad in every walk of life. But if you look at golfers, for example, my sport, every one of them, Nicholas has a hospital, Palmer had a hospital, this guy has that, this guy has that. We as a small company, Rick, we're a very small company, have raised over $100 million and changed the lives of millions of people's lives, which has been such, they talk about, it's a very interesting thing, Rick, they talk about legacies. I don't believe in legacies. I believe you do something while you're here to the best of your ability. You try and contribute to society. When you're dead, you get the hang out of here and you go to another place and you try and you restart up there. And I think golfers have done a great job. They've built all these different facilities, and what a thrill it is to see people, particularly with the places I've been. I've traveled more miles than any human being ever now. And when I go into places like China and see how they live there, you go into India, well, they're a highly educated society and a wonderful country. You see how they live there, the poor people in Africa. My goodness me, don't let any American ever tell me how bad things are here. They start telling me that, I say, I don't even want to listen. You just don't know how lucky you are. And America fought for freedom to give us this great country.
Well, let's quantify your perspective. The world's most traveled athlete, you referred to it before. I have a number of 26 million kilometers, probably more. How do you maintain the difficult balance with mental and physical health on the road all the time? Surely you've woken up on some mornings and say, where the hell am
I? Funny enough, I was in South Africa 7 months ago, and I went to the States, and I went back to South Africa, and I came over here, and I went back to South Africa. Now, that sounds very easy, but that's a long way and a big time.
No.
Then I went to Australia for 10 days, and then I flew to LA, then I flew up to Florida here. Then I went to the Bahamas. I came back for 2 days. I went to Houston and just got back yesterday. So I'm continuously traveling. Now, first of all, I think that people feel too sorry for themselves, where they keep complaining about how bad the pressure, under stress, adversity. I think the greatest gift bestowed upon me was struggling as a young man, because it makes you appreciate things, and it gives you strength. And nobody, Rick, this is the thing. I have never met anybody in my life. I'm dying to meet somebody that doesn't have stress or adversity. This is something we got to realize, and we got to make the best of it. Man, I love people. I remember when I used to play the tour, they had pro-ams, and I used to go to the PGA, the head of the PGA said, listen, I want to play in both pro-ams. What? You want to play in both? Everybody only wants to play one. I said, no, I want to meet people.
Your physical longevity, this is why people are tuning in. They want to get the fountain of youth. Maybe there's a Gary Player pill. But I will say this, there is no Gary Player pill. There's hard work, there's diet. You could talk about it. Jack wins a major at 46. Phil wins a major at 50. You're doing all of these sit-ups and push-ups, and you're pushing 90. What's the key to your physical longevity? And what advice would you give to golfers to see if they can reach that pot of gold?
You know, Rick, what the advice I'm going to give now, people are not going to adhere to it because you live in a land of milk and honey. And now the single most important thing to live a long time and live well is to undereat. And unfortunately, America, this great country, all overeat. Over 80% of Americans are obese. And also, Rick, to exercise. You don't have to exercise profusely like I do. Just walking is a great exercise. The other thing is laugh a lot. Laugh, make yourself happy. You have a choice of being happy or sad. Damn it. So many people choose, sad. And and I think the young people today have got to read more. They don't read enough. Cursive is a pass almost. You've got to read, you've got to write. It's very, very important to be able to read. Most athletes are renowned as very poor speakers. They're inundated with making money, and they forget to realize the value of speaking well. An athlete, a businessman like yourself, look how well you speak because you studied it. You've got to study speaking well because that's communication, isn't it?
Well, it is. And, when we did our show in Palm Beach a few weeks ago, and I listened very carefully to what you say because you are my hero in every material way. And one of the things that you said is eat light and eat portions that are small. Right. Well, by the way, I wanted to tell you that you made such an impression on me that lasted for 2 or 3 days. And now the other thing was don't lie. So I will tell you, I'm eating like a horse again. So forget that, which then segues into the horse stuff. You have that, a good segue, right? You own 2,000 horses at your place in South Africa. What's it like to be a diverse businessman with a lot of your holdings across the globe? South Africans feel like you're a South African. South Floridians want you. North Carolinians, South Carolinians, wherever your offices want you. How's it feel to be a man of the world? Are you a man of everywhere or are you a man of nowhere?
You know, Rick, I believe this is a planet. It's one planet with all people in. And man, I love people. I remember when I used to play the tour, they had pro-ams, and I used to go to the PGA, the head of the PGA said, listen, I want to play in both pro-ams. What? You want to play in both? Everybody only wants to play one. I said, no, I want to meet people. When I'm in the airport, I see an old lady sweeping the airport. I walk up and I give her $100 and I say, gee, what a job you're doing here. My goodness, thank you for keeping this airport clean. I love people. I really and truly love people because, and this is why at my age now, I have zero, as far as I know, any dementia. Because I'm meeting, I would say, an average of around about 30 people a day, and they 30 different topics, Rick, all different topics. So your mind, Rick, is exercising, and your brain has to exercise as well as your body. And it is, but Rick, you got to understand, it's easier to get a camel through the eye of a needle than to get the average day man to really be concerned about his health. But as long as the young guys making these really outrageous amounts of money, they've got to remember that they have a duty to fulfill.
So you made $15 million in career earnings. John Rahm eclipsed that already for this year. No adversity. You're thinking, man, if I could be playing today, look at that. So talk about the economics of golf.
Well, I made $15 million and I spent $17.
Yeah. There you go. Well, even worse.
And I want
So
to tell
even
you,
worse.
the last check I write, it's going to bounce because I'll never be able to find me. But
Yeah.
no, I
There
mean,
you go.
look, I'm very much in favor of athletes doing well and making money. It never perturbs me whatsoever because Arnold Palmer, Jack Nicklaus, and I worked hard. You know, we promoted golf all around the world. We worked for charities and we wanted to promote the golf because we love the game. And so it's great to see. But as long as the young guys making these really outrageous amounts of money, they've got to remember that they have a duty to fulfill. And as long as they'll help charities and help people that need their help, you know, there's nothing worse than when you see somebody who's struggling and working hard and not doing well. But there's nothing better than helping him, giving him a helping hand to see him smile and be thankful for it. Because I don't know about you, and I think most people in this world have always had a helping hand somewhere along the way. Some haven't. And if you haven't, you can't feel sorry for yourself. That's the big thing. Children have got to be taught at school. Philosophy, not just, go to school and sit down there and be like a parrot. You've got to cover a lot of subjects. You've got to have philosophy is awfully important. How to smile when you meet people. A smile is worth $1,000,000. I teach all these young guys that come to me and say, I want to be a champion. What have I got to do? And I said, I can't tell you what you've got to do to be a champion. That's a gift. It's called it. And I'll tell you something interesting in the history of golf. There have only been 15 players, 15 in the history of golf, that have won 6 majors or more. These players all had it. Can you define it? No, it's indefinable. It is a gift. I played with many guys when I was practicing, and they beat the hang out of me. When the bell went, I beat them. There's something about life that you've got to strive for. You've got to keep striving, to improve yourself, not necessarily to be a champion, because there are different forms and different levels of champions. Some people say, look, I don't want to travel. I just want to go home, be with my family. And after all, your family, isn't that a great thing? I mean, we must have a family of at least, with everybody together, at least 40 people, nieces and nephews and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. In fact, when I sit down there and we're at a table, I take them usually for a holiday once every 2 years somewhere in the world. And I sit at the table and I say grace, and I look up and I see all these people at the table. I say, whoo, who's paying for all that? I got to win the tournament to break even, man.
Yeah, but you've won a lot of tournaments, and you've done more, as we know, than your share. Tell me about golf course design. You've done hundreds of them all over the world. What's the most difficult challenge today? Water, environmental sustainability, which ties into water, or these behemoths hitting the drives 400 yards?
Well, first of all, I love doing designing golf courses. We've designed about 140 around the world, and a lot of them have been named number one in their respective countries. What I like about it, because I'm a rancher, so I have such respect. And my brother, when he came back from war, became the world's leading conservationist, and he brainwashed me with utter sense. Water. The world will be short of 25% of water by the year 2025. I know there's desalination. I know there's water from humidity, etc. But we've got to let the youth know. Don't get in a shower and stand there for 5 minutes. You cannot have sprinklers going in the city on the lawns when it's raining. Water is a commodity that's so important in the world. Even in America today, there are many places carrying buckets of water. They're running out of water. A place like Arizona, they got a big problem there with this massive population and not sufficient water. So we've got to watch it very, very carefully. So one of the things when I'm designing a golf course, the first thing I'll talk to the owner about, can we use sewage water that's been refined? I don't think you should be able to use fresh water on a golf course myself. 10 years' time, I'll be nearly 100. I'd like to reach 100. I really would like, as long as I've got my wits about me.
167 pro golf wins worldwide, tournaments, probably more, career Grand Slam, 9 majors on and on, 9 senior majors. What's your favorite golf moment? Do you have one?
I'd have to say, having wanted to travel and get great education and experience different cultures and religions, uh, I wanted to win the national titles of the different countries in the world. And I won more national titles than Arnold Palmer, Jack Nicklaus, and Tiger Woods put together. That was for me a great challenge because I'd get off a plane and have to go there and travel and play there. I'm not interested in legacies because legacies do not exist. I'm interested in contributing to society whilst I'm here right now.
Last question, very important segue from that. Where's Gary Player 10 years from now?
Well, my wife died 2 years ago, and I was with her for 72 years. What a woman I had. Honest to goodness, what a woman I had. So I sent her an SMS yesterday. I said, listen, I don't know how long it'll be before I'm there, but if you find another man in the meantime, I'll get up there and I'll kill him as sure as eggs. So I don't know, 10 years' time, I'll be nearly 100. I'd like to reach 100. I really would like to, as long as I've got my wits about me. I don't want to have any dementia and wonder where I am and what I'm saying. I think that's a very, very cruel disease, unfortunately. So who knows? But I live every day like it's the last day. I love people. I love to laugh. I love life. And my goodness me, you just got to realize when you see the things that these eyes have seen around the world, that's when you realize when I'm in the United States and alive and when I'm living, how thankful. And I tell you what, Rick, I never go to bed one night in my life, not one, without getting on my hands and knees and saying thank you. And irrespective of you believe or not, I'm not telling everybody you've got to believe. I do believe you've got to have a faith in life, but you're never so tall as when you're on your knees.
And on that note, I will tell you that the one thing I am as sure about as anything else in life, that Gary Player will be here celebrating his 100th birthday, and I'm going to ask him the same question, and he's going to give me the same answer. Ladies and gentlemen, what an honor to be with Gary Player. Rick Horrow, sports professor, speak with you soon.
Sports professor Rick Horrow, inside the $1.3 trillion business of sports. You're on the record. National championship game in Miami, generating nearly $500 million of economic impact, and they wanted badly. They get it again in 2030. 2 out of the 4 years or 5 years committed from 26 through 30. Miami, Vegas, in the middle of that, as is New Orleans, as is Tampa. But this is the home for many things, including a number of Super Bowls and a major national championship. Kicking off, by the way, about $3 billion of economic impact in South Florida, their political leaders say, during this year, with the help of World Cup and other events. And it's a time for, on the record, as we normally do, let's get into the opening drive. Number one, the global sports economy at Davos highlights $2.3 trillion destined and allocated to the sports industry. By the way, estimated to be about $3.7 trillion by 2030 and about $8.8 trillion by 2050, up 14 to 18% year over year. Political instability, problems with global communication have limited it, could be even higher. But at the end of the day, that clearly is number one because of the potential and because people are willing to quantify and expand the nature of the sports business. That's number one. Number two, the NFL and the PGA Tour holding back on embracing the prediction markets. Kalshi willing to spend a lot of money. Bryson DeChambeau is an endorser in not an improved category yet by the PGA Tour. Clearly with Bryson, doesn't matter, but with others it will. And the NFL draws a sharp distinction right now between the gambling markets and the prediction markets. NHL and other leagues, not so much. We'll have to see how that all works out in the months ahead. Number two. Number three, FC Barcelona receives about $135 million of cash injection from UEFA after their Champions League successes. Not only that, they receive about 20% more than any of the other teams. Real Madrid, about 101.8 million euros. Atletico Madrid, about 84.9 million. There's a $4.4 billion competition revenue pool, and some say it levels the playing field. A lot of people say the The rich get richer, and that will continue to be that way as long as they continue to develop those incentive pools. We'll have to see. This, of course, is what happened with the Club World Cup last year. Seems to be the successful way international soccer is being run. That's number 4. And number 4, excuse me, that was number 3. Number 4, Amazon Prime's video global NBA streaming push is viewership in more than 220 countries. Not only United States, clearly Berlin and London have hopped on significantly, and the streaming has expanded beyond the normal platforms. Nobody expected to be up 18 to 22%, but that seems to be exactly what it is, and that's number 4. And number 5, dozens are charged, 17 NCAA teams, 26 defendants, 20 current players. The point shaving scandal, $10,000 to $30,000 per game. That's important. But the most important issue is these continue to pop up at a whole host of major events. Not only that, but as we come into the issue of how to regulate, maybe you eliminate prop bets. Maybe you also eliminate the opportunity for athletes to bet on themselves. Quite clearly, that shouldn't happen. We'll have to see how that all shakes out. That's clearly number 5. Opening drive up next, 5 to watch. It's a busy time. Super Bowl coming up, NBA All-Star Week coming up, NBA Stadium Series in Tampa coming up. So let's look at the top 5 to watch, 1 through 5. Number 1, Alex Morgan leads the headlines. Her Tribe Ventures leads investment groups for the new WTGL women's team golf, including investors like Linnea Roberts, Jenny Just, Susan Lynn, Jen McKesey, Ellie Rubenstein, very important athlete, entrepreneur investors. The events will start next year at the SoFi Center in Palm Beach Gardens, just like the men are doing this year. The second year of stability with an ESPN contract seems to have motivated the women. The launch window with more than 150 countries, see how it all shakes out. That's number 1. Number 2, Inter Miami brings Lowe's to the table as a major kit sponsor, sleeve sponsor. Miami Freedom Park opening up next year, this year, 2026, April to be exact, and the Dreams Cup Youth Soccer Tournament by turning Lowe's into a main partner, official sleeve partner, and founding partner of Miami Freedom Park. The Major League Soccer expansion brings in more sponsors than ever before, especially at the World Cup right around the corner. That's number 2. Number 3, the NHL eyes Buffalo's new stadium for future outdoor games as the draft arrives. 67,000 capacity in the new stadium. The Sabres and Bills were cited as positives for the league's outdoor game planning, and the draft week highlighting and spotlighting Buffalo as a Stadium Series outdoor game for 28 new 67,000 seat capacity. Look for Buffalo to be more than the Bills, probably just at the right time. That's number 3. Number 4, battle for the Bears Stadium heating up. The 326-acre Arlington Park, still owned by the Bears, but could easily be sold back. 3 sites in Gary, Indiana, also competing. Governor Pritzker says that no longer is it a requirement that they pay the full $532 million back before they end up going to a new stadium negotiation. So it sounds like both sides are willing to meet in the middle. Very important for the future of this deal, no matter where it ends up. And then finally, number 5, Sportico lists Cristiano Ronaldo as the highest paid athlete in 2025, $260 million. Next, Canelo Alvarez at 137, Lionel Messi at 130, LeBron James 128, Juan Soto 129, Kareem Benzema 115, Stephen Curry 105, Ohtani 102, Ram 100. Those are all obviously big numbers, but most important is the top 100 highest paid athletes paid $6 billion in global earnings, and that's higher than ever. Intercommunication, rights fees, higher endorsement creativity, equity deals, all conspire to make the bank bigger than ever for the pro athlete in the future. Those are our 5 to watch. We'd like to thank Callie Kazara for helping us put this together. I'd like to thank you all for listening and watching and joining us at the National Championship game, kicking off tremendous weeks of activity. sports professor Rick Horrow. Speak with you soon.